What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are back with another Finding a General Manager video. This is episode number 2. And today's spotlight... Hold up, one sec. Hello. It's Chris Spielman. Now, hey, look, I'm doing this intro later. I kind of forgot to hang him. I should have hung him up. You know, you hang up the jersey because we're talking about him, but I forgot to. So, just keep his presence with you as we go through the video. Let's get it started.
You know, I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, you know, guys don't know DoseOfDion. He put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
Welcome everybody to another video. Glad you guys are here. And yeah, we got an interesting one. This will probably be on the shorter side of these videos because, you know, there's a lot of question marks. There's way more questions than answers that we currently have with Chris Spielman. But it's a name that has gained some traction, that's been sort of popular in Lions media world. I mean, it's always, I think, been there. The idea of potentially him being our general manager has been there, or some kind of role in the Lions staff. But it's starting to gain more traction than ever, and I think a lot of that actually has to do with what Herman had to say. Herman defending the thought of potentially bringing Chris Spielman as our next general manager, so we're going to take a look at that. But wow, I mean, this one is just, it's out there, you know, and you know what? Sometimes when things are out there, that either means this is going to be a home run, or it means this is going to be an absolute mess, which we've seen before. We've seen it a lot. So let's talk about Chris Spielman. In today's video, we're specifically looking at him as a general manager candidate. I know people have their ideas. Maybe he should be a head coach candidate, maybe a defensive coordinator, maybe an assistant coach, whatever it may be. But we're looking at GM. However, when we get near the end of the video, I'll discuss maybe where I think he could start for the Detroit Lions, and where maybe I think he could maybe start his career in coaching for the Detroit Lions to potentially build his way to a GM position, if the Lions are willing to do that. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about Chris Spielman. Just a quick little background before we get into anything on Chris Spielman. Quick little background. He was a former NFL linebacker for the Detroit Lions, the Bills and Browns. Definitely made his name with the Detroit Lions. However, in college, he went to Ohio State. He was a 2-time All-American. He did want to go to Michigan, which, hey, great decision, Chris. I mean, that on its own, you get a round of applause for it because you know what you're talking about. But his dad, I dropped my pen, but his dad, how many times do we do that? How many times do I drop my pen? Said, if you go to Michigan, don't bother coming home. He wanted him to go to Ohio State, so he went to Ohio State, and he was really good there. Okay, he was really good there. So then he went to the NFL, and when he was done in the NFL, he went into the whole commentating business, right? 1999, he got this thing started. But a head coaching job opened up in 2000 at Ohio State. I just played there as a linebacker. Why not? Why not see what I could do? So he went in, took an interview, and they passed on him for Jim Tressel. But he took the interview, so he was interested in potentially trying to be a head coach. But a job came open in 2005 for Arena Football. Now, Arena Football, I don't think is no longer around. But 2005, Arena Football job came open after a 6-10 season. And Chris Spielman took the job. He became the head coach. Unfortunately, they only went 2-14 that season, so they took a step back, and that was it for him coaching Arena Football. But he did have a little bit of experience when it came to coaching, but definitely not with the general manager position, which is what we're talking about. We are talking about general manager, okay? So he went to Arena Football, didn't work, so he went back to broadcasting, and now he works with the Detroit Lions in media, right? He's a 3-and-out guy. We can only see those videos every week. That's what he does, right? He commentates. You know, he's really good. People like him. People really like him. He's very well respected, and that's actually one of Herman Moore's points. So we know all that, but what about general manager? What about taking a job in the Lions staff? You know, what about getting back involved in the actual NFL, getting involved in the organization? Well, Herman Moore believes he should be the top candidate for our next GM, and here is why. Let's touch on some of the points. The first point is this: he won't accept losing.
Not going to accept losing. That's what you got to have from day one. He's got to understand, what does that mean to this organization? What does it mean to this fan base? How passionate are the players that have come through here, the players that are playing now, and also those that are committed to this organization? How much winning really means? Who's going to be able to do that better other than someone who's been in it and lived it and breathed it and still is doing that? Chris is doing that.
Now, I don't think anybody that's hired should accept losing, but sometimes you do lose. I mean, look, everybody wants to win, but sometimes you lose. Sometimes you just don't exactly know how to do it, and you lose. It happens. It does. So, while, look, that sounds great. You won't accept losing. That doesn't mean he won't lose. I mean, it just because, hey, I won't accept losing. Okay, that's cool, but it doesn't mean you won't lose. But that's what Herman Moore says. And the reason he brings this up, because he says that he's been through it. He's been through the heartache, right? He's been through the pain of a Lions player, of a Lions fan. He knows how much this organization wants and needs a winner. And since he's been through it, he won't be able to accept losing. So he won't make excuses. He won't be able to sleep at night, which is something I'm adding in here. He may not, I don't think he'll be able to sleep. I feel like Chris Spielman, if he was hired GM, if we were losing games, he would not be able to sleep until he figured out some sort of answer. And maybe he never figures out that answer, but he would work so hard. I completely agree with that. I do. The next point he makes is this: it would be a blank canvas.
The fact that he's not coming from another system, he's not coming from another tree, he's not coming from some other coaching pool of people. I'm not saying that that's bad, that some of these coaches have that, most in the NFL do, but he's going to have a blank canvas to where he's not tethered and he's not prohibited or being put in a bad spot because he's got to make it right and do somebody else a solid. He can come in and actually make the tough decisions and make the right decisions for this organization. I know it sounds like I'm politicking for him, but this is just me coming from my heart about somebody that I know. And I just think he'd be a hell of a guy.
It would be a fresh start. You know, there's nothing else in history for Chris Spielman aside from that little arena football gig. But aside from that, there's nothing. I mean, it's just, hey, here's my first opportunity. Let's see what I can do. So the reason he brings this up because, hey, no one's going to want anything from him. There's nothing that he has to necessarily accomplish. It's just, hey, this is my first start. Let's just see what happens. You know, this is my first opportunity to get of a go around, and let's see what happens. And obviously with the Detroit Lions, it'd be perfect because he played here. You know, he loves the Lions. It's not like he's trying to get a job with Buffalo. It's with the Detroit Lions. And this is assuming that he would want this job. I think he would, but this is assuming that he would want it. Another point of the blank canvas is this that I don't think Herman Moore brought up, but when I think of it is, okay, blank canvas. You get a lot of guys that come from a tree, like he said. For example, you know, you had Bob Quinn, you had Matt Patricia. They came from that Patriot tree, and they bring in these former Patriots. They call us the Detroit Patriots or whatever. You know, that's what they call us. You know, everybody does it, though. Everybody does it. If they're from a certain tree, they're usually bringing in players from that team. I mean, I think the Washington football team has been doing that. You know, we saw, you know, we've done it with the Colts. It happens. You know, you bring in guys that you know, especially early when you're starting to figure things out because it helps you out. Well, for Chris Spielman, he doesn't know anybody from anywhere else. So it won't be, okay, here's kind of the guys that I know. It'll be, hey, I'm forced to look everywhere. So that could be beneficial. Maybe it's a little bit non-beneficial, but it could be beneficial in terms that he's not tied with anything where he's looking at these specific players. He has to have an open mind about everybody because there's nowhere where he's connected and he has a, you know, past relationship with certain players. The next thing he brings up is this, is he understands the politics of football in the NFL.
That go along with this game and with this sport. Everything from what it means between the relationship between the player and the coach, the player and the organization, because there's a business side and then there's the on-field side. And he's going to understand both of those, having gone through it, but also seeing the dynamics and how they play out today. So he's going to be able to manage that. Okay, that's good. I think that's something that Louis Riddick also brings. I think we brought that up yesterday when we talked about Louis Riddick, understanding, you know, the NFL, the politics, the media side of it. So I think that's helpful. You know, he's been a part of that. He's respected by everyone. And I think this is the biggest thing that he brought up is that this isn't like Matt Millen. He said it begins and ends with the whole linebacker thing. This isn't like that because he is respected by everyone in Detroit, by fans, by the organization, by the players currently on the team. Everybody respects Chris Spielman. So him having that behind him, stepping in day one will be huge because it's not like, oh, who is this guy? I mean, this guy's never done it before. What are we going to get here? They don't care about that in Herman Moore's eyes. This guy is respected by everybody in the Lions world. So if he steps in day one, the support will be 100% behind him. And I think, yeah, that's a big benefit because, you know, for some guys, they have to earn that with credibility where, hey, I've won here. So I have that coming with me. For Chris Spielman, since he doesn't have that, he needs that respect. And since he would be coaching or being a general manager for Detroit, having that behind him would be like his credibility. Now, obviously, he would have to make it happen, but that would be his credibility, is that everybody respects him coming in. Now, answering some of the questions that we asked for Louis Riddick are very difficult because I have no idea what the heck he would do. I have no idea. There hasn't been an interview of, hey, do you want to be a GM? Have you interviewed before? There's none of that. What would he do with the Lions roster? Let's take a look at some of his takes. The first thing is this. The first question, who would you hire? I don't really know who he would hire, but the one player that I've actually seen connected with him somewhat is Robert Saleh. I think that's how you say his last name, the defense coordinator for San Francisco. And the reason I've seen that connected, I believe, is because Robert Saleh is from Michigan, right? He was born in Dearborn, Michigan. He liked Barry Sanders growing up. He coached in the college ranks at Michigan State and Central Michigan, both Michigan schools. So him being from that, he would also be another guy that would not be able to sleep without this team winning games. Now, the biggest concern here is that for both of them, there's no experience. There's no experience for Robert Saleh as a head coach, and there's no experience at all for Chris Spielman in this job that he would be taking as a general manager. So yes, as much as they may want to win, the question is, would they be able to figure out how to win? Because you can want it, but can you do it? Can you figure it out?
It makes you believe that they would, because they would want it so bad. And we know the passion that Robert Saleh brings. And we know Chris Spielman, how much he loves this team and how much he would give to try to make this team a winner. And if he had that opportunity to actually have a direct impact on it, I believe that he would actually jump right on that opportunity. But there still is such inexperience here that you don't know what you're going to get. It's a complete shot in the dark. I mean, it's a shot in the dark with Robert Saleh on its own, but to do it with Chris Spielman, that's basically what it is. It's like, okay, I don't know what the heck's going to happen here, but we're trying it. That's what you're getting out of this. Next question. What does he look like with the roster? What does he think of the roster? I actually think that Chris Spielman doesn't think the roster is that bad, but there is a couple of things that he would tweak. The main thing that I've gathered that I think he would tweak is that he would go out and draft a top linebacker. I think if he was hired as the Lions' next GM, this draft, don't be surprised if in the first 2 rounds he takes a linebacker. I think he could take Micah Parsons. Is that how you say his name? Micah Parsons? I don't know how you say his first name. The man out of Penn State, the linebacker. I haven't watched him yet, but I know he's one of the top-ranked linebackers. I have a feeling that would probably be his pick because he thinks the Lions need a dominant linebacker. And, of course, he was a linebacker, so, of course, he would think that, right? So I think that would be, honestly, maybe his first pick. He would look at it and say, okay, Davis, your time's up here. Jelani Tavai, I'm not really sure. You got Jamie for another year or so, but that's cool. But let's go get a top linebacker. With the rest of the roster, I think he somewhat believes in the roster because he believed in what Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn were doing. He said this about those two. They will get it done, and blowing it up does nothing. I agree with the whole second part. Blowing it up usually doesn't accomplish anything. This situation, it wasn't working really well, so Sheila Ford Hamp wanted to blow it up and she wanted to change. But in general, we need to find consistency and stability. So if a guy understands that, all of a sudden I'm on your side because you understand that part of it, which is great. But he seems to sort of believe in this roster. And finally, Matthew Stafford. What's he going to do with Matthew if he was here? I think he would let him stay. Reason being, these are some of the quotes from Chris Spielman. He really believes in Matthew Stafford. He said things like this in the last couple of years. He's top 5 talent, top 3 quarterback. In 2017, he called him a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. He said he's playing the best as any quarterback in the league right now. I think that actually came in his last 8 games last season, right? In the first 8 games last season. He said defense coordinators should fear him. He said this is the guy that could take the Lions over the hump. So I believe that he would at least give him another season. He wouldn't come in with the mindset to trade away. Now, again, Sheila Ford said that the coach would have this responsibility and he would make that decision. But I think, GM's going to play a role in that. I think he would come in and look at it and say, I'm good with giving Stafford another year and then at least another year, maybe the other next year after that, and having someone develop behind him, but keeping Matthew Stafford because he believes he could take him over the hump. So then, obviously, that comes down to you. Would you want Matthew Stafford to stay longer? So those are a couple of questions. That's how I think those would be answered in the interview the best that I can. But ultimately, what this comes down to is that it's a complete shot in the dark. And you could either hit a home run or you could completely strike out. Okay, it sounds awesome on paper. What? This guy loves the Lions. This would be perfect. But there's nothing. I mean, there's literally nothing. We thought there was little to look at with Louis Riddick. There's nothing for me to look at and say that, hey, well, this is what he did in the past. This is what he's done. I don't know. So maybe GM's not the job. Maybe it's a coaching job. Maybe it's an assistant job. What do I think? Well, I think if you realistically want to make him the general manager, you don't have to do it right away. Maybe you give him a job as a scout first. Maybe you give him a job as a scout. And who knows, maybe if the head coach has that much power where it's like, hey, there's no general manager, who knows? But maybe you give him a job as a scout and you say, okay, let's see how well he does at this. How well can he scout players? Well, there will be a lot of questions on whether or not he knows how to scout a player in the draft or what player to draft. But what we will know is that he was through that process. He went through the process. So I think he will connect with players well that are on the team or players that are starting to come to the team because he's been through all those processes firsthand as a player. Not from the outside point of view, but he knows what the players are going through. So you call him, like I said, a player's GM. That can be beneficial for the players, and they may actually like that. Because that's usually where GMs start. He doesn't have any of that history, so I don't know what the heck I'm getting. I don't know if he can scout a player. I don't know if he can, see what I need in the draft or look to sign the right players or know what players he wants to trade for to fit a scheme. I don't know any of that. I know he's played, and he'll be really good with the relationships and bonding with the players. I think that'll be awesome because he'll be like a player's GM. But can he scout an actual player? Because that's where a lot of them start. Maybe you don't want him for that. Maybe you want your head coach to do that job, and he's more of the financial side of things. Again, we have no history on what he would do with that because I don't know. So it sounds awesome. If they made this move, here'd be my reaction. Great, this is really cool. He's our GM, but I'm very worried about how this will go because I don't know. It could work out. This could absolutely blow up, and this could be a huge, amazing move the Lions make for a long time to come. Or it could be we tried it and it didn't work at all. We just took a shot at it. We took a risk and it came back that this wasn't for him, and this just isn't it. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below. I mean, that's literally all I can say. There's nothing else I can point to because I have nothing else even written because I don't know what else to say. I mean, I don't know what else to say. There's just nothing to look at historically for Chris Spielman. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Would you be interested in hiring him as your GM or a different position? Is there a different position? Maybe a defensive coordinator? Maybe an assistant coach first if you want to make him a coach at some point. Maybe a scout. Is there something else that you'd probably want to give him the job first, or would you want to just throw him right into that role? Because if you hire him as a scout, who knows how long that next GM will be here if we hire a different GM instead, right? Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out. Are you kidding me right now? I had to put my helmet on for this one. Are you kidding? Look at this. Look at all these members. What? Yo, hey, shout out to all the members, man. Look how many All-Pro members there are. Like, literally, it's the whole screen, dog. This is crazy. The patrons, of course, the Hall of Fame members, man. Y'all got the gold color. It's kind of yellow, but it's supposed to be gold. Shout out to all the members, man. If you want to be a part of this, all you got to do is join the channel. But there are perks that come with it. Stay locked in the community tab if you are a member because that's where a lot of information comes out. I appreciate all of you. What?